One of the most rewarding things about building cafe racers out of BMW R100s is the process that you can see unfold from start to finish. Taking a stock BMW Airhead and turning it into a modern, beautiful cafe racer is really where all the reward lies with me, and the reason why I get up every morning to do this. Our client based out of Chicago had a similar view on the topic. When discussing with our client the design elements and the key features of what his project was going to hold, the topic of early year bikes and later year bikes came up. The main part being earlier R100s had a dual shock and snowflake wheels, and the later year R100s came with a single-sided swing arm monoshock and the later K-style wheels. And after many discussions back and forth with him about which one he should go with, the decision came down to just doing both. He wanted to have both models built next to each other, having their own special twist and complementing the other one. Two twin R100 cafe racers, built by two twin brothers. How ceremonious. So we tracked down in 1989 and had it delivered to the shop as well. She started right up. Good runner. Leave that on for you. After the motorcycles are tore down, the frames need cleaned up and prepared for fabrication for all the new components that'll be installed. Also, some things we discussed with our client around this time is what options they want for their project as far as upgrades. One in particular that he found very interesting was the race fork package we offer. Then we move on to things like tank colors, and he had a very special tank color in mind for both of his projects. This color is Ford's DB Green Metallic. He saw it one day and fell in love with it and asked if we could send him some spray outs. He was thinking about having one be a gloss like this here, and then also for the other bike, he wanted the same color but in a satin or a flat finish. So I sprayed up some cards for him and got him mailed out before we got the A-OK on this color code to be applied to his projects. Something I always found interesting while working one-on-one with a client is hearing the design elements they think of for their project. In the example of Chicago project, I would have never have thought this color for a BMW Cafe Racer. Sure, we might have scratched our heads at first, but I gotta hand it to him. I think we really nailed it. It's a totally unique color that you haven't seen before on any BMW Cafe restoration. We wanted to make sure we had our seat upholstery thread match as closely as we could for his custom Alcantara seat. Then we started to fab up his custom exhaust. The Bobber bike is going to have a stainless steel exhaust, whereas the Cafe project is going to have a full titanium exhaust. It was one thing he really wanted to differentiate between the two, to have the Cafe be a little bit more race-inspired, and the Bobber a little more laid-back, a little more cruiser feel. And with that stainless steel exhaust, you're going to have a little bit more of a mild exhaust note. As parts start to flood back in from powder coat, our custom Alcantara seat also comes in, and that means things are now ready to finally start being installed on the frames, and we start to see what resembles a motorcycle for the first time. And a few days after we mailed those out, our buyer gave us the green light to go ahead and get those tanks going. So we got them loaded up in the paint booth and applied a few generous coats of epoxy primer to the outside of the tanks to seal in those fuel vapors. One thing in particular you might notice here is that both tanks appear to be gloss finished, and that's because they are. The way we traditionally do our flat or satin top coats, we will apply 3 to 4 coats of clear, then after they cure, we will sand down the top coat to get it re-leveled, and then apply our final top coat, which in this case was a satin. More on this in a little bit because the final project ends up being flat. Moving on to the titanium exhaust. Titanium is a tricky metal if you're not familiar with it when TIG welding. It has its own properties that are different from stainless or mild steel or even aluminum. It kind of has a combination of all of them, except it requires much lower amperage when welding, and burn through is very easy on titanium thin wall. So you got to really be careful with what you're doing, or it can get away from you and you'll end up with some Swiss cheese header tubes. The cafe racer is starting to look like a cafe racer now that we have the front fairing painted to match the tank and installed. And this is what I wanted to point out as far as the bobber goes. The satin tank has been changed over to a flat top coat. The satin just wasn't really sitting well with us. It looked too similar to the gloss tank, so we ended up going with a flat. Got the top clamps powder coated, installed. Key switch, it's a key fob. The Motoscope Pro. Waiting on these fork legs to come back tomorrow. Those badges really make a difference on that flat. Cerakoted the stainless steel exhaust and the tips. The blacked out shocks all came in. Front wheel's ready to go on as soon as these fork legs come back, hopefully tomorrow. Really liking the outcome. So here's the bobber. Just waiting on these forks. We're gonna go over this one next. All right, the cafe, pretty much identical. Same top clamp, powder coated. Now, I wanted to show you this. This titanium exhaust, I haven't Cerakoted it yet because, well, two reasons. It just looks so awesome, titanium, when it's blued out like that. So if you're not loving this and you still want it blacked out like that one, that's totally fine. I just wanted to grab some footage and stuff like that with this before we did it. So if you decided to change this, it'll be the last thing we do before we send it off to you. But identical to that, just left it raw. All Cerakoted the tips, you know, we can do that. That's an option if you're not loving it, but pretty much the same. The big bore kit with the temp gauge. That whole package is in there. And we, went with the black filters versus the red ones. That was your discretion there, which is totally cool. It matches this one over here. But yeah, they're pretty much tied. We're gonna finish up all the little stuff today. These fork legs are coming back tomorrow, I hope, and this should be done. Wiring's almost completed. This weekend they should be started, test driven. We still have good weather, so I want to get some good miles on them before we get them off to you. But yeah, they're just about done. And finally, the Showa BFF forks finally came back to us. If you notice in the beginning, they were gold. We had a local shop do a maintenance swap on the gold uppers, replaced them with black ones. Also did a full restoration to the internals with fresh oil and seals. Got them installed, looking great, and these guys are ready to go. And with the completion of these bikes nearing the end, I think it's time we jump into a startup video and show you guys the exhaust sound of the titanium and a couple other features of the bike itself. Check it out. Here she is, pretty much all finished out. All the wiring's done. We are going to start it up for you. We're just waiting on the fairing or the windscreen to come in. Show you the head unit. And yeah, we're definitely gonna Cerakote those tips, but we'll get some shots of it raw first. Here's the startup. Wow. That definitely sounds different. Yeah, titanium is insane. So next up, rest of the day, we're gonna get this guy matched, finished up also, and get you a running, little sound clip running video of this guy too. It's going good over here. They're almost ready. Here's a little update on the bobber. Just finished the handlebar install. These are going to be a little bit higher positioned than those because of the cutaway. We had to lower the handlebars. So this will be more speed bike feel. This will be more cruiser feel. But my God, just complements so well. Same headlight, just a little bit larger for a bobber feel. This is a 5.75 inch, and this is the same lens, but in a 7-inch bucket. It's beautiful. We're gonna finish the day out getting this one started as well. Alright guys, that wraps it up for bike build number 44 and 45, Chicago Project 1 and 2. We're going to have some professional photos taken, which will be posted to the website. Make sure you check out boxrmoto.com to see those. Drop a comment down below if you guys like the color that we chose for these bikes, if you would have done something different. Any criticism is good criticism in my eyes. So again, thanks for watching, thanks for checking us out. We'll see y'all on the next one.